Welcome to another episode of the Big SEC Show. I am half of your host, Izz Lee. My boy Rich has had some work conflicts and just lifing, so I will be doing a solo episode ahead of this week's games. Last week we had work scheduling. We couldn't work around to record, so we apologize for that. But I will be going over the new top 25 after last week's action, talk about some of the things that happened last week, and then I will preview both all the Big Ten and all the SEC matchups. So this is a solo episode. It won't happen often, but I want to make sure we keep pumping out content and giving you guys something to watch. We appreciate you guys. We hit 20 subscribers, and we have 200 total views on the two videos, so I hope to keep that up. And let's get started here. Jump over to the new top 25 that the AP poll put up. At number 1, we still have Ohio State. Number 2, Miami jumped up 2 spots. I agree with that. They've looked really good. They have 2 ranked wins so far. I mean, they've looked impressive no matter what you want to say. Carson Beck's playing well. Defense is playing well. Penn State goes down from 2 to 3. I mean, they haven't played anyone. They have a big test this week, which we will preview, but we won't get into that just yet. LSU drops from 3 to 4. Georgia stays at 5. Oregon at 6. OU makes a massive 4-team jump to 7. Florida State, which we saw last night, lose to Virginia, was at 8. With that loss to Virginia, I see them dropping below probably the top 20, depending on how things shake out today. A&M jumps up to 9, Texas down to 10, Indiana, after a dominating game against formerly number 9 Illinois, jumps up to 11. Tech moves up to 12 after beating Utah. Mississippi stays at 13. Iowa State drops to 14. Tennessee is at 15. Georgia Tech 16, and they're having a really hot start to the season. Alabama drops down to 17. Vandy at 18. Again, Rich's Michigan stays at 19. Mizzou jumps up to 20, USC to 21. Notre Dame finally gets a win on the board, and they jump up from 24 to 22. Levi free falls from 9 to 23, and I think they shouldn't be ranked. I think a team like, well, you see it right here, deserves that spot a little bit more than them. TCU goes from unranked to 24, and BYU hops into our top 25. And that is going to be the new top 25 for right now, and we'll see how things shake up after the Florida State loss, which happened last night. They're not Big Ten or SEC, but I do want to harp on Florida State might be back to who we thought they were. I mean, those are games you can't lose if you want to be a top contending program. You just can't lose those games, overtime or not. Castellanos didn't have the world's greatest game. That defense obviously didn't have a good game. And, I mean, we thought that defense was for real after the Alabama game. But that's what we're going to cover on that. That overtime loss really has to hurt that program. They're either going to go to the Florida State of old where it spirals, or they're going to show us they can bounce back and still become a playoff team. And now, as I pull this up for you guys, let's talk about what happened last week, week 4. So in Big Ten play, we had Iowa versus Rutgers. Iowa won by 10. That's no surprise there. We had Oregon absolutely routing Oregon State, which I think everyone who's seen Oregon State play kind of knew what was going to happen there. Illinois traveled to Indiana and just got whooped on. I mean, whooped on. I thought with Illinois returning a good amount of their starters, they would be able to take out this Indiana team. But this Indiana team is proving that last year was not a fluke. I thought Illinois' defense would be able to hold up, and clearly I was wrong, as Illinois gives up 63 points on the road. Michigan survives a scare in Lincoln, 30 to 27. Bryce did not play very well. I know he had a rushing TD. The receivers didn't play well. Makes Underwood's stats look worse for wear. I mean, they already weren't fantastic, but they had some big drops. But he did have that long 35, 36-yard rushing TD. He did help the team. Justice Hayes basically carried them through that game. If they really want to contend, they're going to have to get a lot more from Bryce and those receivers. I think it's just growing pains for Bryce, but his receivers are not helping him out. Notre Dame finally won a game, and they beat Purdue 56 to 30. USC survived a late little surge for Michigan State. It looks like that game was going to be a blowout. USC wins 45-31. Maryland goes in, and the scoreboard doesn't look dominating, but they really dominated that game. They won 27-10 at Wisconsin, and Washington put a drubbing on the in-state rivals, Washington State. And then if we go over and we move to where the fun's at with the SEC, where the big dogs play, we had two good matchups. Two going into the week, I thought were going to be really good matchups. First, we had LSU just 56-10 against Southeast Louisiana. Everyone figured that one. We had Miami versus Florida. Lagway got hurt. No one's really big on that Florida team, so I'm not surprised it ended up. I thought it would be a lot worse than 26-7. So, I mean, I'll give the Florida defense a little bit more credit. They kind of bowed their necks a little bit and showed that, we could play some ball when the offense is struggling. I think the offense would have been able to put up anything and give that defense a little bit more rest. I think this game could have been a little bit tighter, but 26-7 win. Florida lost. We're not expecting much out of them. Texas versus Sam Houston went the way it should have been. It went the way it should have went against UTEP. It went the way it should have went against UTSA, with Texas coming out absolutely firing, getting the backups to play, getting the true freshmen to play. And obviously, as a Texas fan, I'm going to harp on this one just a little bit. Arch Manning finally looked like the guy we thought we were going to get to start the year. He was very crisp on his passes. He used his legs well. The receivers were getting separation for the first time all year. The run game was working. It looked like for the first time all year that Texas offense was in flow. Sarkisian looked like the play caller he was supposed to be, and the boys went out and executed. I'm not going to harp too much on it because I know everyone's going to say, oh, it's Sam Houston State. But it's really, with this case for Texas, with a bye week this week and going into SEC play, it was all about getting our offense back in tune, and that's what we did. We went in and accomplished it. Everyone clicked. We got the Wingo and Arch connection finally going, and that's really what all Texas fans were looking for. We understood they're more talented. We're a more talented team than Sam Houston, but the offense finally got right, man, and that's a huge sign. The defense, obviously, shut out. The defense is the defense. The defense has been showing up all year in every game. That's a championship level defense. We got to see if the offense can cooperate and stay where they need to be. The next very big controversial game was Auburn in Norman against Oklahoma. Oklahoma ended up winning 24-17. I'm going to discuss that sideline play that was up in the air. It should be a 15-yard penalty. I understand Oklahoma fans, it happened to you last year or 2 years ago in a game. Regardless of who it happens to, no matter who runs it, your team, a team you don't like, a team you want to lose, the team you want to win, whatever, that should be a 15-yard penalty at all times. I know he was in the huddle, but you cannot walk with the intentions looking like you're going to sub off the field. That should be a 15-yarder every time. That's a big play in the game. I mean, it's a 7-point game right there. Oklahoma got away with, in my opinion, a lot of penalties that didn't get called. I'm going to give it to Auburn for putting up a great fight. Sometimes penalties and stuff don't break your way. You still got to find a way to win. And that's, Oklahoma found a way to win, and that was with Mateer breaking his hand. And I want to talk about Mateer breaking his hand. That is really hard for Oklahoma. I know they have a capable backup. We saw him last year a little bit in Wilkins, I believe is his name. Yeah, I think it's Wilkins. But Mateer's been the guy. I don't think he's been a great passer per se, but I mean, he's their offense. That guy is electric. He's athletic. He's a big playmaker. Like, he rises to every occasion. So going in, I believe he's going to miss the Texas game is what they're forecasting. And then I think he's back after that. And Red River, which obviously as a Texas fan, we're always going to root for Texas this way. But I was really looking forward to having a healthy Mateer versus Arch, Texas versus Oklahoma, defense versus defensive matchup. Hopefully, they said anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks, I believe, was the diagnosis. I hope he can come back because, you always want to play your rivals at full strength. We don't want the excuses. Let's see who the better team is. But I think Oklahoma can survive most of their schedule except that Texas game. If their offense can't get rolling against that Texas defense early and that backup is playing, there's no Mateer, I think it could get ugly. I think it could get real ugly because that Texas defense is for real. Championship level. Oklahoma's defense is good as well. But, yeah, without your Heisman finalist, obviously, the way he's been playing this year, I mean, I think that game looks a lot different. But not to harp too much on that. Oklahoma can survive and still be a playoff team. I don't think they'll make an SEC title game without Mateer coming back because those conference losses will hurt them. But hopefully he is back for that game, man. Never wish injury on anyone, no matter what school they play for at all. It's just hard to see because that kid has been balling out and he's been proven, why Oklahoma went and got him in the portal. He's been hooping. Next up, Tulane versus Ole Miss. I mean, Ole Miss took care of business 45-10, how it should be. UAB versus Tennessee. Tennessee took care of business. Tennessee had a nice bounce back game after that hard L against Georgia. Georgia State versus Vandy. Vandy won 70-21, expected. The game I thought was going to be really good, and it didn't end up being good, was Mizzou for South Carolina. I mean, Mizzou has, can we talk about Ahmad Hardy? That kid is looking like Genty 2.0 this year. I know that's crazy to say because Genty went nuts, but like the way Hardy's been running the rock to start the year, he is the catalyst of that offense. If Mizzou wants to go far, even make a late push for a playoff spot, depending on, how everything shakes out, it's going to be on him. But Sellers was in, came back, he played really well. 302. South Carolina's still a good team, still dangerous. No one in the SEC should want to play a South Carolina team that's fully healthy because that team can make things happen. Another one we had was Arkansas traveling to Memphis. I was big on Taylon Green. Taylon Green had a good game, 325 passing yards, but they end up falling 32-31 on the road. And then last but not least, Mississippi State, who I think is a top 25 team, the way that they've been playing, they beat Northern Illinois 38-10. So that's going to wrap up our Big Ten and SEC recap from week 4. And next, we're going to get into the games for the Big Ten in week 5. And I'm going to pull that up for the screen so we can all look at it together. So as you can see, we got a top 25 matchup. It's the only good game in the Big Ten, in my opinion. We've got USC versus Illinois. Illinois got absolutely bludgeoned last week. I don't see them really bouncing back from that. I know USC had a tough game, but if that's the defense Illinois is going to play, and obviously it's a week-to-week league in college football in any level of sports, but the line is -6.5 USC. I'm personally going to pick USC, and I think they win by 10 in that game. I just don't think Illinois is going to have enough. We've got Rutgers at Minnesota. We're going to take Minnesota in that game. The line is -4.5. I think Minnesota is a more physical team than Rutgers. Rutgers they're not a football school. They're not a basketball school. They're an academic school. So I'm going to lean towards Minnesota. I think they play a more physical brand of football, and they're at home. So I think that's going to take them to the win. Next up, number 1, Ohio State travels to Washington. Now, this Washington team is capable at home, very capable at home. But this game wasn't on the road. I'd say Ohio State wins by probably 17. But, I don't think Ohio State's offense has looked insane when they played upper level competition. I mean, obviously it's been good, but I don't think they're world beaters at all just yet. Obviously, they won the week 1 matchup on Texas. This is strictly on the offense. I think this game ends up being somewhere around 31-13, just because Ohio State does have that championship defense. But I don't think it's going to be anything where it's, 40, 50 point game or anything like that. It's not going to be anything crazy. Hopefully, I think San will get his connection with Smith a little better because, I know I would expect those guys, have 12, 15 targets every game because he's a good thrower. Obviously, Smith is the best receiver in all of college football, and he has been since he was 18 years old. But Ohio State wins double digits for sure. Maybe gets a little shaky to start the first half just because you are on the road, and we know how conference games can go. Next, we've got Illinois traveling to Iowa City to play Iowa. After what Indiana did to Illinois at home, Indiana wins this game 10 times out of 10, 20 times out of 10, 30 times out of 10. I mean, Iowa has a great defense they have for the past decade, maybe 15 years. But, they have the worst offense I've seen in the last 20 years, almost every year. So I don't think Iowa has nearly enough firepower to stay with Indiana on the offensive side of the ball. And eventually that Iowa defense is going to get tired because their offense is going to be, 3 and out or 7 plays and punt. I just don't think Iowa doesn't possess enough talent on the offensive end or play calling to stay up with Indiana. The line is -8.5. I'll be very surprised if this isn't a double-digit win, anywhere from 13 to 20 points from Indiana. So we're taking Indiana. UCLA at Northwestern. We all know that Nico has left UCLA for, I don't know, for good, the time being. I don't know how that situation actually shakes out. But that UCLA team is really bad, and they're heading to Northwestern, and I'd be hard-pressed to pick a UCLA team against almost anyone in the country right now. I mean, that program needs a full reset. I mean, you got to fire everyone from top to bottom and just reset that program because they're in a really bad spot. I'm taking Northwestern in this game. The line's -5.5. I think the UCLA loses by 10. I mean, it's just they can't get right, man. UCLA cannot get right. So Northwestern, and what I think will end up being a surprisingly dominant game out of them. And then the big marquee matchup, as you can see, Oregon and Penn State, they finally get tested. And I believe that's a whiteout game at Penn State. The line is -3.5. I'm taking Penn State by 7. I think Penn State by a touchdown. I mean, they've got Drew Allers, a fantastic quarterback. They've got a great running back. They always have good tight ends. I like their offense, and I like their a little bit more than Oregon's. I know Oregon's fast and flashy, but when it comes to grinding it out like you do in these top 5, top 6 matchups, I think Penn State's more equipped for that. I think their defense is better too. I'm taking Penn State to cover that -3.5 in a big, big, big matchup this week. I'm going to take Penn State to knock off Oregon. If Oregon comes out firing and uses that speed to their advantage, I wouldn't be surprised if they win. Like, really, it's a toss-up game, extremely talented programs. But for me, with it being a whiteout game at home, I got to rock with Penn State on this one. If it was in Eugene, I would probably lean the other way. But, boy, Beaver Stadium gets rocking at night. So that's it for Big Ten. We are going to move to the SEC. As you can tell, this is going to be a quicker show since it's just me, and we're just going into it. Don't want to go too far in depth, but want to give you guys some predictions, what I think, and stuff like that. And moving on to the SEC, we've got Arkansas hosting Notre Dame. I think this is a tougher game for Notre Dame than people think. Like I said earlier, I'm big on Taylon Green. I'm really, really big on Arkansas's offense. The defense is a question mark. I mean, Notre Dame just got their first win. Still don't really know how good Notre Dame is. I mean, they started out 0-2, and then, they had a layup game last week to get their first one on the board. So I think that's a big test for what that Notre Dame team actually is, because Taylon Green is that guy. I've been trying to tell people that kid can play. But at the end of the day, the line's -3.5. Based off the talent, I'm going to take Notre Dame in a close one. I'm going to take Notre Dame 31-28 on the road. They get back on the board. They're 2-2. They see how the rest of their season shakes up. I just don't think they're as talented as last year. Obviously, we can tell that with their 0-2 start. But I'm going to still take Notre Dame here. We've got Utah traveling to Utah State, apologies. Vanderbilt's going to win that game by 30. Utah State's not a very talented team. Vanderbilt is a very underrated SEC team. No one wants to play Vanderbilt, especially with their quarterback who came back from last year. Pavila, his name escapes me, but you know exactly who it is. Diego. That kid's a baller. I think that Vanderbilt team is very dangerous in the SEC, can sneak up on a lot of teams if you're not taking them seriously, man. Don't look at the school name. Look at the roster. Look what they've done this year. Look what they did last year. I mean, that team's good. So we're going to take Vandy by 30. Next, we've got LSU at Ole Miss. And the line for this kind of surprised me. They have it -2.5 for Ole Miss. I know Ole Miss, they benched Simmons last week. They went with the backup, and he balled out, man. He was a lot better than I thought. I don't know if he's the starter for the rest of the year, if they spell in Simmons, because Simmons is a great quarterback. I believe he was a 5-star recruit. Maybe he was a high 4. Ole Miss has been playing good football. LSU's been playing good football. If I have to pick, I would take LSU on the road. I think, they're built for it. They're built for an SEC title, too, as well. I think Gus will figure it out. LSU's quarterback. They've got weapons on the outside. They've got 2 or 3 good running backs you can come in and use. I would take LSU um, by 3 on the road. So I'm going to say LSU wins this again against Ole Miss. Next, we've got Auburn versus A&M. I am looking forward to seeing how Auburn bounces back after the Oklahoma game, because that's a game they should have won. I mean, point blank period. That's a game they should have won. I know they probably feel pretty slighted. They might not say it, but the refs screwed them over, man. Point blank period. That game should have at least went to overtime, in my opinion, like at the bare minimum. A&M is playing really good football. They beat Notre Dame. I mean, they're 9 in the country. Marcel Reed's getting under control. He's starting to look good. That defense is really, really good. But that doesn't matter to me. We're taking Auburn for the upset. We will never pick the Aggies in the cheer squad. So we're going to go with Auburn on the road in an upset against A&M. Next, we've got Tennessee traveling to Mississippi State. Tennessee bounces back. I think that's a 10-point win for Tennessee. Their offense is too good. Mississippi State, talented team. I think they should still be top 25, but I don't think they have the firepower to contend with Tennessee. Next, we've got a huge matchup, and this determines Alabama's whole season. And it's only week 5 after, dropping that game to Florida State. This is Alabama's season. And Nick Saban ain't walking through that door. Saban would win this game. But you know who doesn't? DeBoer does not win this game. Give me Georgia to beat Alabama and end that playoff run already. I think Alabama's done if they lose this game. No playoffs for Bama. I just don't see it. They're already at 17. I think Georgia wins, and I think they're going to be more physical. They're more talented. I think they're going to win by at least a touchdown. And it might be a game where it feels like Alabama got dominated physically, but the score doesn't show it. I'm taking Georgia by at least a touchdown. Next, we have Massachusetts versus Missouri. Obviously, the way Missouri's been running the ball, their offense has been good. Their defense has been super solid. Not the greatest defense, in my opinion, but that offense has just been absolutely insane. So I'm taking Mizzou. Obviously, probably their line's 44.5. They might put a 50 ball on them. Next, we have Kentucky at South Carolina. This is an interesting game for me. I really like Sellers. I like Harbor. I really like the South Carolina offense, but Kentucky's not a slouch. If this game was in Kentucky, I think I would take Kentucky in this game, but I'm going to take South Carolina. The line is -5.5. I think this is probably about a field goal game, or it comes down to a tie game and South Carolina drives down the field, take the lead, and maybe scores a touchdown late. But we will be taking South Carolina there. And then, since we are going to go to standings, and we're going to look at the standings for the Big Ten and the SEC 4 weeks in. As of now, because there haven't been a ton of conference games, we have USC is leading the conference at 2-0 in conference. Hoosiers are 1-0, Terps 1-0, Ducks 1-0, Hawkeyes 1-0, Michigan 1-0, and we see that the Big Two of the Big Ten have yet to play conference games. Ohio State is my clear pick 4 weeks in, going into week 5 for playing in the Big Ten title. And the winner of tonight's game, I believe, Oregon or Penn State, will probably be the ones you see against them. This is a really big game for conference championships, and I'm still taking Penn State. I think we're still staring down the barrel of an Ohio State, Penn State Big Ten title game. I mean, looking at it, we might be looking at 3 Big Ten schools to make the playoff right now. I mean, Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon are who I'm really looking at. We still, maybe the Hoosiers sneak in. I'm not too sure on their schedule, but I think the Big Ten is going to make a good chunk of this playoff picture towards the end of the year. And that's the Big Ten standings. I mean, no big surprises, really, out of the Big Ten. The top dogs are being the top dogs. Maryland's only played 1 game, but I mean, 4-0 for Maryland. That's huge for their program. Hopefully they keep it up. I mean, every conference is better when you have more teams and it's not as top heavy, because I believe the Big Ten is extremely top heavy when it comes to talent. But, as the year goes on, we'll really find out. But we will move on from that, and we will go to the SEC. And as you can see, not a lot of conference games played. Obviously, Ole Miss has played 2. They're playing their 3rd one tonight. So we've Ole Miss, LSU, Missouri, Oklahoma, Vanderbilt, Georgia, not all undefeated. Tennessee is a great team, but they started 0-1. A&M's 0-0, and so are the Longhorns. The SEC is the real gauntlet. I mean, look at these teams. Look at the teams I didn't even name, man. I mean, we got Mississippi State, who's 4-0, who I think is a top 25 team. Auburn's been playing great ball. They should be 4-0. The SEC is a grind, man. But if I had to make a SEC title prediction right now going into week 5, I'm still going to be a homer. And I think it's Texas versus Georgia. I know they play later this year, but I think we see what we saw last year. I think Texas is going to turn around with the offense finally clicking. I see Texas versus Georgia playing twice this year, once in the regular season and again, because that game's to be determined in about a month's time or so. Sorry, not a month's time, 5 or 6 weeks. Oh, man, I'm scared for that game. But I think we see a repeat. I think Texas is clicking, and we're just the better team, more talent-wise than a lot of the SEC schools. We just got to get the offense rolling. So my week 4 going into week 5 prediction for the conference games, we're still going to see Texas versus Georgia twice this year, possibly a third time in the playoff. And that is it for me, man. Like I said, I was going to keep this one short and sweet because, I'm my solo host. There's only so long I could talk around in circles. So it was just me. Next week, I will make sure me and Rich get together again. We bring you the full probably hour slate of the Big Ten and SEC. The Big Ten SEC. Sorry, the big SEC show. Talking around in circles. But I want to say, I'll have this posted before kickoff. It should be really quick to edit since it was only 30 minutes. Thank you again for 20 subscribers, for 200 views. If you're watching this right now, like and subscribe on the video. Feel free to comment where you think I'm wrong. I'm sure a lot of people won't believe with me when I say Texas just because of how we've looked, in 3 of our 4 games, But, it is what it is. It is what it is. Sometimes you got to have blind faith in the coach and the program. And I've got faith in the boys. But that's going to wrap up our week 4 recap and week 5 predictions from me. Once again, it's your boy Izz Lee. All our socials will be underneath the description of this video. Follow us on Twitter and like and subscribe and comment on this video. We appreciate the traction. We're really trying to get this, 2 guys who really love college football. And we're just trying to get some footing here. And we appreciate everyone who's been rocking with us the first 2 episodes. Thank you for watching week 3, and we will see you next week. You guys have a great one. Horns up. I'm out.